Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Columbia University, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this panel discussion on digital transformation in the insurance and wealth management industries. My name is Philip Hecker. I am an advisor to Columbia's wealth management program, and I'll be your moderator today. This marks the sixth event in our Frame Your Future series, where from time to time we convene 2 or more of our 17 degree programs to jointly explore timely concepts and ideas in a joint fashion from different angles. In doing so, we highlight some of the faculty and scholar practitioners that our students can have access to, as well as the many skills and capabilities that they can learn at Columbia, oftentimes fast-tracking their careers. Our panel today includes faculty from the wealth and insurance management programs. In our conversation, they will share insights and perspectives on the ongoing digital transformation in these industries, and they will highlight the many challenges and opportunities that this presents for rising professionals. Joining me today are Alejandro Zarate. Alejandro is a SVP with Marsh. He has more than 25 years of experience in the commercial insurance industry, with a particular focus on technology, consulting, and marketing. He is a lecturer in our insurance management program. We are also thrilled to have Dr. Meg Lortz. She is a financial psychologist, writer, and senior researcher at Kitces.com. Meg is a lecturer in our wealth management program. Also a lecturer in our wealth management program is Matthias Kuhlmey, who currently serves as Chief Development Officer at Hightower Advisors, a national holistic wealth management firm in the independent space for financial advice. Welcome to you all. Excited to be discussing this topic with you today. A reminder to our audience to please keep an eye on the chat. Please use that functionality on the right of your screens, type in your questions, and we'll try to weave some of them into our discussion. And with that, let's dive right in. Matthias, if you would be so kind to kick us off. I think Sure. It's fair to say that digital transformation has occurred in many industries and transformed them in very, very profound ways. Just think about the last time you, for example, worked with a human travel agent. Can you please paint the picture in the wealth management industry? How is it being affected, and what are, from your perspective, the underlying drivers?
Yeah, Philip, thank you. From my point of view, there are really 2 major trends setting up our industry, probably for one of the most, I think, significant transformations that we have seen or we will see in our careers. And this, especially in the way we interact with our clients. And let me highlight these 2. So the first, there is a generational shift of household wealth occurring. So our future clients, if you think about it, they grew up in a different era. And they're not only used to different forms of engagement with service providers, but they also want to lead with a different identity around their wealth. We have seen a lot of research about millennial investment behavior, if you will. So we as service providers need to support this new generation of clients with a couple of things. First, there's clearly the digital engagement, the online presence, but also with the focus on do-it-yourself and 24/7 accessibility. The second aspect is big data customization. And I personally think of it almost as the emergence of categories of one. In other words, clients want to feel at the center of the experience. And then I mentioned it before, making a difference, or rather money with meaning versus return on money. So the second big trend is a growing generational gap between current advisors in the industry and these emerging new clients. And most financial advice is still, in my view, rather functional. Think of managing the money. And in this sense, we are sort of destined for some sort of generational misalignment, well, if not a clash to come, right? Unless, and this is the big dividing point, unless advisors understand that they need to transform their businesses to a higher value proposition. And in other words, helping clients achieve higher value, accounting for their aspirational goals, for considering an emotional state around money, and then, of course, their socioeconomic impact. And I see the pyramid here. This is a few years old, but has never been as important as these days. You see it nicely laid out that managing the money today is table stakes, right? And our advice engine, our business, our advisors need to move up this proverbial value chain to the top of the pyramid, helping clients achieve their goals, have a peace of mind around their investing. And then, of course, the last is fulfillment that anchors around legacy and so on.
Thank you, Matthias. That pyramid is a very helpful framework, and we'll get back to it in today's discussion. Let me ask you a quick follow-up. Some would argue that the wealth management industry has been somewhat late to digital transformation. A, do you concur with that assessment? And B, if so, why could that be?
I do concur, and I think there are several examples if I look into the entertainment industry that have shown us how industry have changed. Well, the reasons, look, partially due to complexity of the business and regulation, that is a big driver, but also, and I'm making very general statements here, due to an unwillingness to change. Other reasons are, underinvestment into technology. We see it especially with these big machines of firms today. It is hard to change. And then also there's a risk-averse positioning. But also consider one thing, business has been good over the years. And even if we account for the crisis years, we only think of 2020. It takes out of the box thinking. And Philip, I'm laughing. You are coming from one of the big machines I'm referring to, and you're leading the transformation yourself with a startup, right? So I think there's something to be said about it.
Appreciate that. Alejandro, let's shift gears into the commercial insurance space. Based on our previous dialogue, you are enthusiastic about the potential for digitization in that space. Please share with us, why are you so excited about the potential for personalized products?
Thank you, Philip. Absolutely, I'm super excited about personalization. In the case of commercial insurance, personalization or customization, as Matthias was mentioning before, exists since a very long time. We normally personalize or customize programs for very large clients when we have several layers of insurance and coverage. My excitement comes from the fact that I see that more and more these kind of capabilities can be rolled down to smaller customers. As I said before, traditionally in the business, we were customizing for very large clients, but the way I see technology evolving, the way I see AI evolving, I think eventually will allow to customize to segments of one, as was Matthias was saying before, in which we should be able in a few years to offer insurance products and programs adapted or customized for each one of our clients.
Alejandro, sounds great. Quick follow-up. To bring that to life further, are there maybe an example of or two of ongoing trends or new solutions that you can mention and share with us?
Well, I think in that sense, you can see a lot of new developments, for example, in machine learning, trying to match, for example, carriers' risk appetite with clients, right? So some of the work we have been doing in the industry gravitates a lot around that, because that's one of the key questions. For example, in our case as brokers, we are asked often, right? How we can understand which carriers have appetite for my risk. So in that sense, we have been exploring machine learning techniques and products that can allow us to do that and actually come back with potential carriers for a client. In the same sense, you can leverage the same technology, and when you have discussions with carriers, you can come back and surface potential prospects for them. So what we are doing a lot is we can leverage these kinds of technologies even to improve our matching efforts when we are looking for alternatives for our clients.
Great example. Thank you for sharing that. Meg, let's perhaps weave you in at this point. First off, you are a financial psychologist. If you don't mind, share with us what exactly is that? And then follow-on question, why is it important important to bring those human behavioral finance perspectives in master's programs such as ours?
Sure. So I'm interested in, I help the students to learn sort of what it looks like when we think about money from a behavioral perspective, when we think about money as a human, not an econ, and what that then sort of means to, not only like the technique or the objective, financial amount, like what's on my profit and loss statement, what's on my income statement, but what does this information make me feel? What does this information make me think? What does this information mean to me and my goals? We saw a pyramid earlier that talked about, what we're doing, the managing the money, and then getting into the higher aspirational goals at the top. A lot of the financial psychology is trying to understand people at individual, at all levels, trying to protect themselves and learn some basics, but also then get to those higher levels. Like, just because I have this money, how do I, money is a tool. So how do I use it to bring about these higher aspirational goals? Those are the things that I'm interested in. So, and why is that important? I think because we all want to feel good about our financial decision making. We all want to be proud of ourselves and of our wealth and our generational wealth that we create. We all want to feel good about our relationship with money. And for the most part, we don't. And I think that there can be a lot more done, in that space to bring some financial joy, find ways to have happiness around our finances. Yes, it is a tool, but how do I make it work towards those higher aspirational goals, to those things that are actually important to me in life? Is it doing what I wanted it to do, more so than just, adding up in a bank account? Those things are important. We need to understand the objectives and technical aspects of our wealth, but then there's so much more to it than that. I think we all know on this call, it's.
Indeed, we do. Matthias, let's maybe weave you and your pyramid back into the discussion here. We've heard and seen the positive impact that digital can have at the lower parts of the pyramid. If you don't mind, however, please share with us, what are some of the shortcomings of digital approaches so far? What can digital not quite yet provide to customers?
It's an interesting angle, and let me answer this from a client's perspective. I'm a client myself, with money and needs in wealth management. And Megan gave a good basis here. At the end of the day, we are human, and our instincts of why we consume certain goods and solutions, are potentially under or ill-informed. They may be emotional. And more often, we do not have all of the data and the facts to make these informed decisions, especially when it comes to these very complex topics in life. Think about our health, think of our wealth in that respect. And in my view, the shortcoming, however, carries a significant opportunity. And with that, how we can model the wealth management firm of the future. Actually, that's why we're here, right? We are thinking about these new forms of engagement. Just to set up my statement here, to repeat from before, examples that we need to consider is that we outsource low premium commoditized offerings. We saw it nicely, that bottom layer of the pyramid. And then with that we can shift the advice model to a higher value proposition. We need to help our clients to achieve their goals. But in the earlier context, and this is the most important part to your question, Philip, the successful advisor of the future, in my view, is the bionic advisor. And that is a person that will embrace trends in digitization and technology to free up time. That's the most important thing, to free up time and shift resources to then help to lead clients very positively, influencing their behavior around matters of wealth. And we have seen a lot of research on that matter, that behavioral coaching actually drives a lot of added benefit in alpha. This is not the investment alpha, actual alpha to benefit clients in their investments and wealth management experience.
Excellent, Matthias. Good opportunity to weave in an audience question, in this case from Jason. who is wondering if the digitization is broadening the access to wealth management services and in that way helping to democratize our industry? Matthias,
Look, my answer is a yes, a clear yes.
Very good, very good. Now, one more double click on you. Can you share with us, in your mind, what are the implications of the picture you've just painted, both for management teams of wealth management firms and rising professionals alike?
Yeah, look, I've said this before, and sometimes I get pushback, but I think it is a very fair assessment, and I'm speaking in general terms again, that many of today's practicing advisors, or their firms for that matter, could likely not repeat their success if they had to start all over today. It's a very, very different environment. And here comes the challenge, a designated second generation that often we just define as, having that age gap, so to speak. That second generation to lead the business into the future may have or may face the same hurdles. The issue that we see is more often that successors today are generally being prepared for what the business is, rather than what the business needs to compete with in the future. And that, as we said, is up the value proposition in the context of providing our services.
Excellent. Alejandro, back over to you, and let's double click on the notion, power and potential of AI for a minute. In your mind, please share with us, in the commercial insurance space, how far do you see AI going? What can it do today already? What do you see it being able to do going forward? And weaving in an audience question, in this case from Joyce, is AI prone to inheriting and amplifying potentially existing biases? Please share your thoughts on that.
First of all, I think that AI is just in the first steps in the industry. I think we are just probably in the first couple of tiny steps into introducing these kind of technologies in the industry. We start to see a lot of new technologies such as computer vision or deep learning start to be used in different products, for example, for visual inspection and other kind of applications. So on that sense, I think we are just starting. I think something that will really can potentially revolutionize insurance in the future is technology called deep learning, because that allows to analyze massive quantities of data in a very holistic manner. And that's what allows to reproduce cognitive processes, let's say, when analyzing clients, for example. Now, regarding bias, that's a great point and a great question. Yes, if we are not careful, we can transfer bias into our algorithms. And this is because any machine learning algorithms, at least as of today, depends on training sets that are defined by the engineering teams or the business that is trying to use them. So I think it's a key point and something that needs to be firms have to put a lot of attention when it comes to bias, because yes, it's true. You can actually incorporate bias in your algorithms and start to exclude groups of people or take not the best decision making if you are not conscious around that. Now, the good thing is that as soon as you start to look at that and you start to make corrections, algorithms are really easy to retrain in general, and you can correct that very quickly. But yes, it's a risk that all firms trying to use AI are facing today.
Thank you for sharing that. Meg, let's maybe weave you in here. In our prior conversations, you've been very passionate about the potential of better addressing the paradox of choice. In this context, would you mind sharing your thoughts on this topic with Alejandro and the team?
Yeah, I love the idea of using technology and using algorithms. But I mean, what is an algorithm? Like, mostly it just means it's giving us a better answer than a guess. And that's good. We have to build on that. But that also means that if it's just like a little bit better than a guess, we probably need other humans. We need professionals in this space to then where a consumer would see hundreds of options. And it's just like too many options. We immediately shut down. We are not sure what to do. We cannot move forward. We're paralyzed by the amount of choices in front of us. And that's very easy to do when shopping for anything, let alone insurance, and already feeling probably nervous. There's usually a reason why people go and search out insurance. It's not because, oh, I just feel like insuring my life today, or, oh, it feels like a good day to insure my home. Like we don't really feel like that. Usually when we go and do it, we're like, I just had a kid. Nothing can happen to me tomorrow. Like, let me go sign up. And so people are feeling emotional. And if our systems, we're putting in good data. I think that was extremely important. The point that Alejandro made that, our algorithms are only as good as the data that we put in, and it is important to pay attention to that data. But if then the algorithm can split out, 4 or 5 choices, 3 choices, and then it says, call this person and have a conversation, then we can talk through a little bit more, talk through each one of those 3 things. What were we trying to solve? And so the issue that algorithms and AI can help solve in terms of the paradox of choice, instead of being given 500 options or even 20 options, that's too many. We can't really deal with like more than 5 or 6, and we just become overwhelmed. And so if it can bring the number of choices down much smaller, it enables humans to be able to like make choices, think about, okay, this one over that one. This really helps us to be able to make decisions. And especially if we can then bring in a professional at that time to talk about what you're going through. You just had a kid. Okay, how old are you? How's your job? How's this? How's that? To help you decide, what it is that we're really trying to do and what would really solve your option that's best for you financially. Then that seems like the beautiful mix, right there. And so,
no doubt about it, the importance of choice,
which is why it's so important.
The importance of choice architecture you drove home very nicely here. And I think it's noteworthy how many providers out there seem to be taking a more disciplined approach to how they organize their offering, how they organize their solution set. Certainly some dimension where the industry seems to be making meaningful progress right now. Let me stay with you, Meg, as a financial psychologist. You help us humans learn from our successes, and you help us learn from our failures. What are many of the most common mistakes you observe folks making right now, and how has maybe the COVID crisis influenced people's behaviors?
I saw a report just recently that insurance in particular was on the rise. People are buying up buying up insurance for their life, and I mean, we just not that long ago had the California fires. There's been floods, the craziness that happened in Texas where there was a snowstorm and everything got turned off. There are natural disasters, there are pandemics. And because of this, people react. And so it's good, like anything that can get people thinking about, insuring themselves and taking control of their financial life. This is extremely important. But again, when we're making those decisions, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of that, thinking again to that earlier pyramid of just about, how do I protect my money? How do I protect myself? They may be thinking I need to protect. And so they go and they buy the insurance, but is it exactly the right insurance? Is it enough insurance? Is what they were trying to do or what they were trying to protect, is that fully done? Or is there more to it? And that part is missing. We're not getting to the point where we're having those conversations about, okay, since we bought this insurance, what else do we need to do to make you feel safe? Or this is what this is done for you. And so you don't need to worry about this anymore. Because we don't have those conversations, we don't have those interactions. It's not fully clear that we're making the best decisions, even though we at least are making a decision to buy some insurance at all. We may need more. We may have bought the wrong one. It isn't really clear. And there's some data that says that people do not necessarily do this perfectly well. And then also that, we are being influenced by all these outside things that are going on. And certainly that changes the way that we see our needs. That changes the way that we see what needs to be protected, what might already be safe. And it makes us very narrow in terms of focus. I study in many things what scarcity does to your brain. And when we feel scarce, it causes us to focus, which has kept us alive for generation after generation, but also makes our ability to brainstorm other ideas outside of this tunnel that we're in impossible. Our brains just can't do both. And so until that problem is solved, we can't see a broader view. And so I think that we're probably solving some parts, but not all parts. And we want to have, a holistic relationship with our clients. We want to know that these products are doing more than just, plugging the hole and then water is still coming in. And so I think there's more to that.
Let me stay with you for one more minute. A question that also weaves in some audience questions that are coming online, the importance and power of financial planning. Many colleagues out there, many good advisors will go through comprehensive, holistic financial planning processes with their clients, really helping them articulate their life-defining goals and then working backwards from there with all the various solutions that they can bring to the table. To what degree, from your perspective, does this pre-living the future and planning for the future on many levels help people stay the course during the very turbulent times such as that we've just witnessed now?
Sure. People do better with practice. That's the best way to say it. And especially if we can practice when the stakes are low. An amazing ability that financial planners have that I always love working with financial planners because of this is they are amazing scenario planners. And so if you are a client and you are nervous, going to work with a financial planner that's going to do A, B, C, D, E, like through Z with you on all the potential outcomes, we have technology to help us calculate those outcomes. And, we can change the inputs. And so being able to kind of live through those experiences, live through what does it mean to have to go to plan B? How does that feel? How do you think about this? Tell me more about what you're thinking about if this has to happen. I think the more that we play that out, instead of just waiting, for something to happen, we know something's going to happen. I know that if I make you a financial plan today, the one for sure thing that I know is that probably in 6 months, that financial plan is going to be wrong. Something about your life and the trajectory that we put you on is going to be different than what it was in the day that I ran those outputs and gave you that report. And so the practice of doing financial planning, not just doing a financial plan and realizing that, doing financial planning is truly part of, complex adaptive system where humans and the world are, kind of happening and we have to deal with each step. I think that that's amazing, and being able to work with individuals going through those different steps and being able to do all that scenario planning with them so that when they do have to go to plan B, they realize, I talked about this. Alejandro told me he would be there with me, and he is. I'm still getting to my goal. My goal is still out in front of me. I'm just going to take a couple steps this way and then head back up. I think that we give clients so much more power, so much more empathy, so much more empowerment towards their goals when they know that it's just a plan. We'll make a new one when we get to the next spot, and we can just keep going and, get you to that higher level, get you to those more important goals than just managing the money.
Very good, helpful perspectives. Thank you for that. Alejandro, before I come to you with my next question, a quick reaction to an audience question. Joanna is wondering what kind of students are in the wealth management degree program. Joanna, there's plenty of information on the website. Check out sps.columbia.edu. And let me share with you that by design, it's a mix of early career changers, folks who have a couple of years of experience under their belt in other related industries who want to find their way into the wealth management industry. They view this program as a great springboard, as a great catalyst for rewarding degrees in the industry. And we're happy to say we have a healthy bunch of mid-career, solid, successful financial advisors who want to up their game even further. And that mix of early career shifters and mid-career enhancers, if you will, is a wonderful combination from our point of view. And with that, Alejandro, let me weave you back in on the insurance side. Insurance surely is also relationship driven. Would you concur with that? And if so, how? Again, keeping in mind we're having commercial insurance as your specialty in mind.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, commercial insurance and I would say brokerage, which is the industry I work with, is totally relationship driven. In that sense, trust is very important, and the role of technology and artificial intelligence of any other tools should be seen as a mean to increase the intimacy with our clients, to understand them better, to serve them better, and create this trust. As Megan was saying before, we need to be closer to people, give them that peace of mind. I think that's the role of insurance. So on that sense, I think that's the way we should look at it. Technology is just a tool. Technology is something that will help us to get to some point, but it's not the end, right? Something that I repeat all the time is that, at least as somebody who's involved in technology, is that we should fall in love with the problem, not with the technology. So we are trying to solve people's problem and support them to be successful, and especially to provide, in the case of insurance, to provide financing means in case something goes wrong in their lives or in their businesses, right? So in that sense, that's how I see the role of technology and how we can use this to strengthen our relationship with our clients.
Excellent. In closing, I have a question to all three of you on the panel. Given the picture you've just painted of digital transformation in the insurance, in the wealth management industries, what does that mean for rising professionals? What tips, what suggestions would you have for early folks in their careers and or mid-career career shifters into those respective industries? What are your, pearls of wisdom for those folks? Ladies first. Meg, why don't you take us away?
I would say, more than ever before, to embrace your role as a helping professional. You are being hired for your advice, but you're also being hired for your consult, for your time, for your relationship. The more we get to know our clients, that, in therapy, for example, we know that it isn't even necessarily how you work with the client, like if using cognitive behavioral therapy or a positive psychology, whatever you're doing, that's probably great. But what matters the most in terms of getting that patient, getting that client to the outcome is the alliance that exists between the patient and the therapist. So how close you feel to your therapist makes a difference. And I think that it's the exact same thing in financial planning. As Alejandro mentioned, that trust is an imperative. So we have to have that. Our clients have to believe that we understand them. And so we, as helping professionals, need to work at that, open very simple things like asking more open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions, being really interested in what their hopes are, what their fears are, get them to paint a picture. They say, I want to retire. And you say, well, tell me more about that. What are you going to do in retirement? Well, tell me more about that. That sounds interesting. And keep it going so that what you develop from them is very vivid, so that you walk away knowing what you're helping them to build. And they also walk away assured that you know what you're doing and you understand them and they understand you. And there's an alliance that is built. With the rise in technology, we have more time to do these things. We have time to build these relationships with clients. And people need that. We are social. It is in our DNA to be social. And so we need each other, and we need helping professionals in our financial lives. And I think that the importance of financial professionals will only continue to grow, and probably grow more, on even that psychology side of things.
Excellent perspectives. Thank you for that. Alejandro, over to you.
Well, as somebody who works in technology, and I praise a lot technology, I would say that if you are in a relationship-driven industry like insurance or wealth management, I think the best you can do is try to embrace technology, understand technology, because that will make you more powerful, right? Like Matthias was saying, you become a bionic advisor in which you can leverage all this technology that's available to you to serve better your clients, to become closer to them. Right now there is a lot of hype around this human-machine collaboration, and I think it can become a reality in the future, in which all of us who are involved in these kind of industries, we can leverage these industries, these technologies, and from that point of view, and as Megan was saying, but with a human touch, right? Algorithms will give us an output, but it's up to us how we use that, all that information, all that insight we're getting with technology in the best service of our clients. But you need to know about technology. You really need to understand it and make a conscious effort to get deeper into having an understanding what is behind the technology.
Yes, we all do. Matthias, your thoughts?
You know, it's a beautiful setup for me to bring my answer. Alejandro and Megan both said, look, technology will be technology. It will be here. It will sort of take care of itself. I'm not saying we don't need talent to take care of that. But when I think about it from sort of top of the house view, our firms, the industry, needs to require a very different focus on talent, how we choose talent, how we develop talent, and how we retain employees, right? But then also when you bring it back to this concept of the bionic advisor, clients will expect a reflection of their lifestyle choices and values. And so if I tie these two thoughts together, despite this very necessary high degree of technical expertise that we need in the companies, the business overall requires a much softer, more diverse, and a very multifaceted generation of advisors for us to compete in the future.
Excellent. A quick audible before I wrap it up. Each of you, 15 seconds. You are super busy, highly successful professionals in your respective fields, yet you teach at Columbia. Why? What's driving you? What's motivating you personally with that time and energy?
I can take it from here. Someone shared with me recently, and it is not my quote. If one person teaches, at a minimum, two people will learn. And to me, this was a very true aspect. I'm learning about my own business as we go deep into the material, into the courses. But then it's fun. There's a different energy that makes us think about other things that we couldn't replicate in other aspects. So really a joyful thing to do.
Alejandro?
Well, I can go next. Thank you. Well, in my case, I think on one side, it's very fulfilling for me. It's something that pushes me to keep myself, let's say, up on the state of the art of what I do, and that's from a personal point of view what really drives me. But on the other side, the reason why I'm in the program in insurance management is because I see a need, and I see that digital transformation, despite it's transforming our industry, and still there is a lot that has been achieved, we still have a long way to go, and I want to contribute to that change. I want to contribute to help the leaders of the future to understand technology and to use it in service of the industry and their clients.
Yeah.
Matt, bring us home.
I would repeat many of the things that the gentleman before me had to say, but I would also add to that one, I really love it. I enjoy it immensely. Two, working with the students, whether they've been practitioners, whether they're becoming practitioners, everybody looks at the problem or the case study or whatever it is that we have in front of us in a slightly different way. And I am just in awe and oftentimes inspired and so interested in what my students are seeing and what my students are thinking. Because, related to what Alejandro said, it keeps me on my toes. I probably read more research and keep up on all these latest studies so that I actually can teach my students something, because half the time they're teaching me, if not more. And so just to be a part of an environment where you're constantly learning and constantly growing, and other people are also so excited about learning and growing and changing the industry, and there's no better job.
Excellent. Thank you for the panel for spending time with us today and sharing your thoughts and motivations. To the audience, hopefully you got a feel for the breadth and caliber of our faculty, and I hope that you all took away some food for thought, much as I did. My personal 3 takeaways include, in no particular order, Matthias's comment around the importance of helping clients to think about money with meaning. That concept of money with meaning, certainly something that will resonate with me. Meg, from your end, the importance of choice architecture and the quote that people do better with practice, 2 key takeaways for me from your contributions. And Alejandro, the importance, impact of power and AI plus machine learning applied to big data sets. We're just at the beginnings of what our industries can do on that front. And your quote of it's important to fall in love with the problem, not the technology, is something I wrote down as well. Thank you for those tidbits. To those in the audience, thank you very much for your time and attention too. If you want to re-listen to prior Frame Your Future events, you can do so at Columbia's SPS website. And for those interested in learning more about our programs, please attend tomorrow's open house at 9 a.m. Eastern. Likewise, you can find the information on the website. And with that, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your time and attention, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.